Good morning, a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, at consecutive conference to discuss results of Grupa KETY SA and consolidated results. Today's presentation in a slightly modified formula. As you can see, the board not complete here, but I think that main actors of today's meeting are here. So first of all, President of the Board, Mr. Dariusz Mańko, Mr. Roman Przybylski, Deputy President of the Board, and Financial Director, Member of the Board, Mr. Rafał Warpechowski. After the presentation part, as always, we will answer your questions, and the presentation will be opened up by Mr. Dariusz Mańko. Mr. President, the floor is yours. Sorry, once again, starting a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, at the meeting to discuss the results of the first quarter, consolidated results of the KETY Capital Group. And as Michał mentioned, we are in a slightly different bunch, and there is no difference of opinions, but the table was too short, and so many people, 7 people would not fit in. Of course, I'm kidding. But we changed this formula. Why? Because there are more people on the board. And secondly, if no exceptional things, significant things are happening in the area of one of the segments, we will not be inviting those people to this conference. We will do our best in a smaller bunch to present the results and answer your questions, all your questions. Of course, detailed questions may show up, and if we are not able to answer, then we will give you the written answer. And if some exceptional events appear in a given segment, which where will be the necessity to discuss certain topics, issues in details, then heads of the segments, members of the board of KETY Group will be available for you, and will participate in such a conference. Today, taking the opportunity of this conference, I wanted to introduce new member of the board, Deputy President, Mr. Przybylski. I would like him to say a few words about himself and tasks the supervisory board put forth for him, and this is also an opportunity for you to meet him, to get to know him, and have this possibility and the knowledge that such a new member of the board in Grupa KETY is active, and of course he is available for you, be it on the phone or on the email. We will be answering all your questions. This is what we are for, and this is our task. So, Roman, please, a few words about yourself. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Roman Przybylski. I'm very glad that I'm in such a good company, and I can be working with such a strong team that built a really fantastic group, and with whom I can see great potential of building up for the future. And my experience in my former role for several years, it was building and managing international business, first of all, both organically as well as through acquisitions and then deep integration, firstly in Western Europe and not only. And this experience and competences resulting therefrom, I would like to, and I think I will be applying here in Grupa KETY, working with my colleagues. And first of all, in the area of this work, we'll be working on the strategy, which we took up the obligation to build anew till the end of this year, and working on which we start gradually now. Other tasks which I'm involved in, also resulting from my experience and history, is focusing on the whole structure and sales processes within group in order to look for optimization, synergy, and building plans at the beginning, and then expanding them in the future, which will be, once again, part of the strategy mentioned earlier. Once again, I'm glad, and it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm available, as Mr. President said, after the conference within the Q&A, but also on the email or telephone. I'm available anyway. Thank you. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the results of the first quarter 2024, and what is specified in red and specified as first is weak situation, weak trends. I don't need to tell you about that. You watch the market and the business, what is happening around. Well, actually, the trends are weak, affecting all the Europe, and we can see weakness of it in Poland as well. And this is what we have to cope with. We had not, well, had we foreseen it? Well, rather, yes. Creating the budget, we did not think that a special bouncing will happen, but therefore we are not surprised. In a way, I mean, we have been used to it for many years. We have been doing our work, acting and looking for orders, and we do our best to cope with this difficult situation, and therefore this increase in volume. So this is hard work of departments, commercial departments, searching for clients and for new sales areas in order to provide possibly best supply of power, and only this way we can defend ourselves from losing profits, because regarding profitability it is a great struggle and price pressure, and here this will definitely be influencing during this year the results of the group and also our competitors. In spite of this difficult difficult quarter, we managed to work out EBITDA higher by level 11% year-on-year, 22 million, net profit 150 million. It is also higher than our earlier forecast. We informed you preliminarily that, and we are satisfied by this result, very much in a deadly difficult surroundings. The result is perfect. I would even use this word. I would dare say so, because if it was lower, I would not be surprised. I would not actually blame the segments working out the results and commercial departments, because I know how hard they are working and struggling each and every day, so that we can present such good results to you as you can see. Macroeconomic situation is stable, although we notice a certain disturbing trend. May this trend not happen in a longer perspective? I mean, trend in increasing prices of aluminium. We don't need it at all. I do not need to explain to you that aluminium as a raw material has in many products quite a lot of substitutes. So we are actually struggling with plastics, with wood, although it is also ecological. But if aluminium is cheap, then it is easier for us and for our clients to locate this product in many sectors we provide for. So this increase of prices in aluminium is not supportive for anybody. But you know history, and you realize that it has nothing to do with true demand, with trend. Actually, sometimes it happens that at London Metal Exchange, well, playing on raw materials begins. I hope it will not affect raw materials. It may actually be resulting from Russian aluminium, but in the situation we are today now, with this price of ingots and subsidies to it, well, with this price of aluminium we feel well, and it is a difficult situation of trend in the world. Our clients feel well as well. So we hope that this growing trend would not stay, but the average price of aluminium, the chart, would get flattened rather than that. And regarding raw materials for FPS, the situation is stable here and is allowing us to agree with clients about price, I mean, fighting in this market. So this stability in this market at this difficult moment with lack of positive trend helps us a lot, and this is one of the main factors of also good results of the first quarter. So this healthy raw material base. Very briefly about the segments. Segment of extruded products, EPS suffers mainly due to lack of positive trends in the German market. I do not need to remind anybody here that the German market is a driving force for the whole Europe. And if it is in bad shape, we all feel it, we too. So briefly speaking, great struggle in European market and domestically for those shortcomings from the German market to somehow be covered. Actually, tradespeople struggling in Poland and all over Europe, trying to find other orders. Nevertheless, we managed to utilize 84% of production capacity. We achieved increase in sales, so it is very good work, colloquially speaking, from the salespeople. We are satisfied by this investment. One press is already working. The other one, we have extruded an ingot 4,000 tons. If a better trend appears, we are prepared for maybe a leap in quantity of products, extruded products, which will be directly translated on the value of EBITDA. We do count upon it, and we are very strongly prepared for it. In case of the aluminium systems segment, the German market and the UK market are not actually pampering us, but the situation of the first quarter weakness of West European markets overlapped at the same time on our mature position in the area of smaller buildings. Even detached houses. Well, in the past, aluminium didn't used to have application in detached houses, but, well, I think you remember plastic windows and even doors made from wood were prevailing. Hardly anybody used aluminium in their own home. Today, it not only became trendy, but it has become some kind of standard, and we are very satisfied by it. This small sales to a great lot of customers, clients, allowed us to increase our sales to the level of 90-ish%, and in spite of the prices of aluminium, to bring our revenue to the level close to last year's. So I can tell you that counting upon what may happen in situation of funds from the reconstruction fund, KPO, from the European Union, and in this context that the market will start some investment, be it domestic market or modernization will start in Europe, that German market will get unblocked. I think we can only talk of better prospects, because the base is the first quarter. We already have the base, and we do not expect here anything to harm us during the year. We rather than that, we expect that from this base, the situation should only be improving. In case of the flexible packaging segment, situation is good or even very good. You remember that for several years, well, apart from the COVID years, where there was an increased demand for the BOPP foil and packaging. But after that period, unfortunately, constantly we are suffering from the change in quality of packaging materials, slimming them down and making uniform ones and going away from colors. Yes, it is good for the environment. It is good. We may say that we used to be less responsible as people. I mean, packaging had the content inside, but multi-level character, both aluminium and foil and paper, all that could not get subjected to any recycling, and we were polluting the planet. It's good that it is changing, and still better that segment of Flexible packaging did the hard work and found their place in this new reality. Today, actually, utilization of capacity is, as you can see, 90%. We got into packaging of sweet bars. Some of them are packaged uniformly with some label. We also got into labels for waters, for various kinds of beverages. So we are searching for new markets, and here, great thanks to the flexible packaging segment, that they didn't break down, that they, I mean, the range of products changing completely, but they took up the challenge, and today they are a strong player in this new reality of packaging.
And we can be relieved to say that we have a lot of orders from big companies, international corporations, and this is a huge benefit. We don't need to be worried. Our results are pretty good for Q1. The Easter period changed a little bit. This year it was quite soon. Last year it was a little bit later. It's a period for the best economic situation for sales concerning packaging. So you can trust here that the first quarter relative to the previous quarter and Q2 to Q2 last year, these will be good quarters for the results. We feel fine on the market. We see no threats. So much for specific segments. So to summarize, a huge word of praise for heads of segments, for sales departments and all the employees, because in these difficult market conditions where we talk to the competition, we see what is going on the market, where we track the media, all these three segments in this environment generated very good results, operating results and net results. So I may say on my behalf, just congratulations. So thank you very much. I hand over to Rafał on financial results. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, financial results do reflect the situation. They're very good compared to the assumptions we took for this year. This budget was assessed at the end of the year as ambitious, the budget for 2024. And we're very happy to say, well, the CEO has said that all the segments have increased their operations due to macro decreases in prices like 20% and billet premiums. Our revenues are lower, but the scale of our business is reflected by EBITDA and operating profit on operations. EBITDA is 222. That's a very solid, very strong result, better than last year in Q1. Now, as we've got just a slight difference on interest, which stems from exchange rates. And as you've been observing on income tax, again, there's another portion of recognized assets on deferred tax related to ongoing investments. Therefore, the effective interest rate, tax rate is 7%, which is 19 million due to deferred tax. Net profit 150 million, very stable, good level. Now a few words on specific segments and their results. Revenues from sales in all the segments have been affected by lower prices of resources, of raw materials that translate into product prices. So in value, these are decreases, but the most important thing is that all of them have increases by several percentage points in volumes. Extruded product segment reflects, its results best reflect this pressure we have on the market on the side of demand and the pressure on margin, 25 million less in terms of EBITDA. But we keep the proportion in terms of the proportion of the structure of sales directions and sales according to sectors, with a positive piece of information here, because we can see an increase in the share to those sectors where these products are more processed, which is a good news. That allows us to stand for our EBITDA, right? As for aluminum systems segments, the prices are quite stable. Before the changes from Q1, a huge activity, increase in volume by 9%, allowed us to increase the result by 33 million. EBITDA 111 million zlotys, which is a very high result, very good result. And please note that the structure changed. Right, we reduced exports, results from exports, but we covered it by total revenues in the country, domestic revenues, so they are in total more or less similar. As for flexible packaging segment, it's solid, it's stable, this result is repeatable. It was, in terms of operations, a more difficult quarter. From our perspective, it was a little bit shorter, slight changes, but it's quite stable in terms of sales structure by sectors. And in terms of domestic versus export, the structure is quite stable. So this segment uses high capacity, 90% of production capacity, which is very good news. So generates a lot of cash flows. A few words on investment. We spent 99 million zlotys in Q1. Let me say that investment outlays were about 55 million. So 44 million that remains is to reduce obligations, liabilities from the end of last year. So the payment for outlays spent in 2023. The major projects by the end of this quarter of the year are still investments, organic investments into the development and growth of the company. It's strengthening the power of our operations in two sectors related to aluminum. Let me remind you, these are the investments. Another press, up to 15, which will add up to 15% to our capacity, which will amount to 125,000 tons per year, and it's going to start in July this year. And as for the aluminum systems segment, the investment in Złotów, to be launched in Q2, from the beginning of Q3, it should be already available. As for flexible packaging segments, annual projections is capex of over 12 million. And this year, if we will probably not exceed those amounts, but the good news is that we are planning on increasing production capacity in the packaging segment. We want to spend 30 million zlotys in the next 2 years on that, and there's a positive decision that was made in the last few days. We'll be able to apply 50% release on these expenses. To summarize the situation, the financial situation, our debt, due to the fact that aluminum in Q1 and raw materials in Q1 were rather on lower and stable level, we did not increase the working capital, despite the volume increases. Our debt is about 830 million. The leverage is below 1. We managed to extend and renew one of the major contracts for bank loans. Therefore, our term debt structure is 25%, it's long-term, 25% is long-term debt. In terms of currency structure, 1/4 is more or less of investment is financed in euro, which is quite a positive and safe level. This change of the debt structure reduction as compared to the end of last year, it's due to the very good result on EBITDA that finance our investments, and 100 million, the remaining part, was used to redeem our debt. So as for the financial part, I will hand over to the CEO. Okay, so in these difficult environments on the market, we are expecting to meet the assumptions for the budget for this year. And even though we're expecting some increase, we hope, in aluminum prices, but we don't expect any major escalation of those prices, and we'll be able to work and keep up with the projections. As for investments, we're about to close the investments, like in Złotów. The press in Q2 will be operational already. So what remains is to focus on our daily work and the investments that are ahead of us in operations. It's not a challenge anymore. We have such experienced personnel that operational investments, that's our daily work, nothing special. That's not a big challenge for us. And operations investments will not push the company into a new direction. We're not going to create a big aluminum group, and that's our vision and ambition. So, for sure, in the strategy, when building this strategy and considering acquisition and this way of growth, well, you know us. You know that I myself and the entire management board can guarantee the certainty of our decisions, and we will not allow any naive investments, specifically outside the country. We cannot have like a million examples on the Polish market where Polish companies undertook acquisition abroad and it failed. So we're not going to play like a small child that saw another child burn their hand and still they need to touch it. No, we learn from others' experience because we need to build a team, because acquisition is not enough, because integration and the entire work related to incorporating such a company into our company structure and building organizational culture and building the approach to the business that is identical to the one we have in KETY Group. If we don't have such a team, if we don't have the certainty that we can build this team, we will not dare to take any such move. But obviously, in order for the company to grow, we need to have the boldness to move forward. Therefore, we strengthened to build such a strategy and to propose an adventure to you for 3 years in detail or 5 years in general sense. So it's going to be an adventure with KETY Group that will increase the value of our shares, increase our equity. It will provide stable politics in terms of dividend payment that we will be considering next week. We'll be recommending the dividend payment distribution. As the financial director has mentioned, our financial results are by the book. Somebody might say it's not by the book because our debt should be bigger, but actually they do allow us to distribute dividend and pay out dividend and be optimistic when thinking about acquisition. What I can say for today is that we're thinking of the strategy, we're talking about it, discussing it, we're working on it. And while doing it, we think like, why not? Why not us? Why aren't we to be the black horse in Europe in the aluminum sector? Why aren't we to be one of the leaders in a few years in Europe? So I think we can do it. We can afford to be such leaders, and we'll be able to prove it. So thank you very much. So much from my side. Some questions probably.
Well, questions, I guess. Yes, there is a list of many interesting questions. Let's start from a technical question regarding production volumes. They are in the presentation which we are displaying now and in additional materials at the end. And the presentation is published on the web page of the company in Investors Relations tab. And there you will find the volume not only for the first quarter, but also historically for the fourth quarter of last year. Also, this was that more simple question. And now more cross-section question. Whether due to us assuming relatively stable second quarter and slightly lower revenues in FPS, does it imply potential drop in results of the second quarter compared to the first quarter? We have a very big portfolio of orders in packaging, and I think the second quarter is not going to be worse than the first one, so we are of a positive attitude to the packaging sector in the second quarter. Okay, thank you very much. Next question is about the whole year and the budget. In the budget, aluminum prices were at a different level, and euro as well at a slightly higher level, so current situation is less beneficial for the company. May this result in the fact that if in the following quarters it remains, will it cause problems in implementation of the forecast? Much too early now to say. As in the slide you saw, the first quarter is being implemented result-wise in accordance with budgetary assumptions. So I think that of key importance will be the market, the demand question. If the demand, as we had assumed, will get enlivened in the second half year, as President mentioned, the CEO mentioned, well, with a sound market, a higher price has a possibility to place the products. This is more important than prices alone. On the one hand, currencies compensate the prices. Zloty is much stronger than it had been assumed in the budget, but at the moment we do not see such a threat. Well, the report maintained the forecast of results. So next question, whether in the context of the recent events in the exchange rate of one of the companies, the prices of one of the companies mentioned at the stock exchange, which had an information that it was active in the Russian market. Will the board guarantee that they are not buying aluminium from Russian market, even through middlemen? Well, let me remind you, it was not about buying raw materials from Russia, but activities carried out in that market, and the news had not been confirmed anyway in any form. So it's just a side comment. Well, let me put it like this. We adhere to the declaration we took up, the obligation for, and every day on the go we keep monitoring all available sanction lists. We ourselves introduced internally a list of countries we do not cooperate with. It is broader than just Russia and Belarus. So it seems that we are doing the utmost and we are obtaining assurance that such a situation does not take place. It's not only Russia and Belarus, there are a few other countries, and this solution actually has tools accompanying, and this control is done on everyday basis. Yes, on everyday basis. This is our declaration, and we know that now, for example, there are certain deliveries from Turkey, and our even competitors had problems because the supply was not realized because there was a problem of certificate of origin of that aluminium. It probably came from Russia. So we keep monitoring, as the financial director said. We have tools and keep checking it every day, each and every day, and we can declare that we do the utmost to avoid such aluminium to appear in the use and trade by Grupa KETY, for sure. I don't think any such situations may appear because we seem to have it under very strict control. Thank you very much. May we extend information a little bit about the planned new investments for which the public support was obtained in the form of investment reliefs? Yes, as I had mentioned, we are planning extension of production capacity in the flexible packaging segment, specifically production of packaging. So this will be modern equipment of that type, flexographic printers with all auxiliary equipment and so on. This will be that type of investment. In accordance with our declaration, it will be implemented over a 2-year period, and this is how it was specified in the license. And this is also additional information because we informed about delayed tax. It will be recognized differently according to new regulations. So after completion of the investment project, both this year and next year, only at the end of 2025, the tax base will be recognized. Next question is about the market of aluminium systems segment. The question is whether after change of owner, Poncio company, do we see changes in sales policy of that entity? No, we do not see any changes. This is one of many entities in Polish market, European market, and the scale is not that big that it could affect in any way. There is no aggression from Poncio. Today it has a different name, that company. Well, I think policy will continue in that company of reasonable prices and reasonable approach to the market. The CEO, the president of the board remain the same person, a person we know and appreciate, so no unnatural moves will be made by him in the market. Thank you very much. And a question addressed at the new member of the board. How do you evaluate the first months in the company? What surprised you positively, and where do you see the largest area of improvement? First months in the company, I see them very positively. No big surprise, because making this decision, both myself and we all have done our homework, so I learned a lot about the group before joining it. And among positive aspects, I must mention great positive attitude and cooperation. It is a team you want to work with. In the area for improvement, I would not even talk of improvement, but about potential and opportunities. So actually most important is that the foundations are very strong. Market position in Poland is extremely strong, and active expansion on foreign markets started many years ago, and I can see further opportunities in this area, which results from the size of the market and from the fact that this is the first step. So for building, for entering other countries, we have a lot regarding distribution, regarding customers, and definitely we have vast opportunities to build a strong aluminium group with a base in Poland, as Mr. President mentioned, and combining these two worlds together, well, I wouldn't say in surprise category, but as confirmation rather, such vast opportunities, and I'm very glad that I will be participating in it. So, drilling a little bit deeper, I have a question regarding main reflections regarding acquisition in your former workplace. What, from time perspective, has been the largest challenge in such processes, and are the other markets evaluated as more difficult or easier in acquisition transactions, based on your experience? I think that here I will not say anything revolutionary. To buy a company is relatively easy. What is really difficult is integration processes afterwards, because then you really have to combine two structures, you have to combine processes, you have to integrate teams. So these are the challenges, and they are for sure similar in most European countries. Every country has its own characteristics. Every country has slightly different market of or job market, legal situation, but there are no great fundamental differences, making some of them more and some less difficult. Well, definitely from production perspective, it makes sense to look at Europe, because looking further results in questions of logistics and transport of products and transport costing more, being more complex with the distance. But from the perspective of management, both managing companies acquired abroad as well as managing integrated companies, well, going on what results from costs, cultural differences, time, and so on. So conclusion is that actually the most important is what was mentioned by the CEO earlier, to get ready for the possibility to effectively and more successfully integrate, and we have to focus on this for sure. Thank you very much. And has anything changed in the area of limitations for importing profiles from Turkey? Well, extruded product segment took up activities in this area, even at all European level, Association of Aluminium Producers. Are these activities being continued? Have any formal documents been sent about establishing importation barriers? The recent situation resulted in the fact that this premium we mentioned, which Turkish companies used to have, the potential for the premium was shrinking in the situation of much lower billet premium, which was for aluminium. And from the recent time, our estimation was that this market situation is not so painful for us as we used to be thinking of it even a year ago. And as far as I know, through the association, the association has not filed documents because the scale is not of such an importance for us anymore. Thank you very much. And a segment of aluminium systems has reached 9% volume increase year on year. And whether in the context of flat sales of extruded product segment to aluminium segment system segments, well, can it mean that aluminium system segment is slowing down in sales, and in the second quarter it will be flat because it is not actually buying in the scale adequate to possible increase growth? Here, in the case of aluminium system segment, this horizon is not so visible as in case of extruded product segment. So here response is much faster, and our purchasing within group, of course, we are adding load in purchasing because it is more from EPS. It is well grounded when we have greater capacity, but definitely the market will influence it very strongly. It's hard to say whether today's purchasing state is not limiting volumes. Well, the segment may act very dynamically. Thank you very much. especially that we are talking about this 80% usability of capacity in EPS. So please remember that all the time we are working as a group. So EPS supplier in turn additional production capacity allows rapid response if need be. So again, the financial director is still struggling for optimization of frozen capital.
Thank you very much. How do we see the load of Press 1 that was launched last year in the new complex? What does it look like for now? And what load do we project for the second press for the second year? It's a difficult question, specifically where we fight for orders. There's not enough orders. But I don't want to declare which press. Well, we cannot look at it in a black and white way. We've got several presses, so we need to optimize productions for all the presses. So we can extrude from 1 or 2 or 6 holes on a specific piece of machinery. So depending on where we can move a product, we do it. And they need to be maintained, overhauled, repaired sometimes. So very often when making investments, it's treated like you put a piece of paper in front of you. You've got presses 1, 2, 3. So how much are you going to produce on press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on? It doesn't work like that. It's a it's a system of presses. There are technology engineers, heads of production, maintenance of the workflow, and they try to optimize the work for all these presses. They want to produce using a press where we have the fastest extrusion, where we earn most money per kilogram of raw material. So this juggling, this moving of production from press to press will definitely be going on throughout this year, and we'll be adjusting and optimizing the use of these pieces of equipment. So it's hard to say that how new presses are going to be used. They are in better technology, they are faster, and they can do things quicker. So they will be probably loaded accordingly as compared to the older presses. But I don't want to declare any in percentage terms. I think that even the head of production would not be bold enough to do it, even though he does it on a daily basis and knows his job very well. When speaking about aluminum systems segment and investment, opening a new shop, what sales potential does the opening of this shop generate? How do we see the perspective of, again, loading by sales of these new capacities? Well, again, it all depends on the market, but we assume that we would extend in aluminum system segment and in general in aluminum, we're increasing production by 1/4, so it will cover our demands for the next 3 years. That's what we planned in the strategy. In this particular case, we're also estimating to be 1/4 of the aluminum system segment. In the architecture profiles area. So this is 2/3 of the whole Aluprof segment. So in terms of revenues, 2/3, these are the architectural systems, and they have the potential of growth by 1/4 by building this shop. There are some other elements as optimizing the logistics and so on. So we're counting on them. So it's not a linear dependence, but I think it can be like several hundred million. Yes, these investments, they are hard to quantify and perceive in black and white terms, because flexible packaging segment has been growing recently. We've been using painting services, aluminum system segment. We had to rent floors, some contractors that provided and produced some elements for us. In Złotów will be producing a lot of things to be used by the aluminum system segment. Will be painting as well. So 1/4 of the growth is to be there, based on securing the work power and the accessories in the painting shop. This is indispensable when we talk about the expansion strategy that will be informing you by the end of the year. We had to prepare this base. It was not enough to be distributed logistically otherwise. So having this solid logistic base and having our workforce in our paint shop, we can react faster and we can service the market more efficiently. If we don't do it, we just need to forget about any growth whatsoever. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just add to this topic that, well, as you can see, despite poor market situation, especially on the construction market, not only in Poland but in the entire Western Europe, the results for the segment are very good, and I think that there's growth in the perspective. So I don't perceive it as an if question, but when. It depends on the market situation. Once it improves, it's going to improve in the segment. The question is only how fast, how soon. We are receiving the first funds from the recovery plan. Under the recovery plan, we are to have the interest rates reduced by this central bank. So it will be translated into construction activities definitely in this year. Thank you very much. Now, another question on the aluminum systems segment. Where do we get this profitability increase, significant profitability increase from? In terms of percentage, well, first of all, it's based on a very good result, on 9% increase in volumes. And revenues, as you can see, they were quite flat, but that's because due to the fact that this increase that was due to volume, it compensated for the reduction of prices of about 8%. So this improvement of the result with higher volumes of lower unit value of revenues year to year. So the margin in percentage terms is growing. So both parts of the equation have increased, improved, but it's a very high level. I could also add that building huge skyscrapers, hotels, these are the drivers for the aluminum systems segment. A huge recommendation for the systems, for the perception of our brand of Aluprof. But with these huge facilities, fighting for the margin, it's more difficult. Obviously, the volume is huge, but also very serious negotiations and very serious competition that would like to get such a facility under the construction. And we have both sides have very professional negotiators employed. But we're very happy on the minor sales of minor volumes going to detached houses. We have very good margin here. We need to work on that quite strongly, because it doesn't matter if you sell a ton or if you sell 10 tons, you need the same service for the transaction. But we have a very good margin here. We're happy to be on this market. And what you observe in Aluprof, so trying to talk our customers into having more eco-friendly and energy-saving products, they actually get it and are willing to go into it, into being more eco-friendly. So we're doing quite fine in the detached houses segment, and we can see it on the reflected in the margin. Thank you. The next question is about any progress, whether we see any progress in terms of acquisitions. If there's any progress, we'll let you know. Okay, thank you. And the last question that I can see on the list: what's the size of and what's the cooperation between extruded products segment and aluminum systems segment? Now, in the last quarters, have these numbers increased, decreased? And the sales to aluminum systems segment, what's the share of it in the extruded production segment? When we launch new capacities, this is our organic advantage over other groups of companies, because aluminum systems segment is about 1/4 of the customer, the off-taker of the extruded product segment. So a few years ago, when we had a huge loads in extruded product segment and we worked to full capacity, aluminum systems segment could buy outside and the extruded product segment was smaller. But now we procure from extruded product segment because it increases the value chain and increases the load in our group of companies. So this is 1/4 depending on the product. But in financial results, as you can see, in the segment notes, the revenues that we saw as eliminated, they are related to the entire sales from extruded product segment to aluminum system segment. You can track it by quarter, about 25,000 tons per year. Thank you very much. One more question regarding the aluminum system segment. Do network customers of Aluprof, like domestic window producers, manufacturers, do they have any significant growth investments ongoing? I don't know if we can answer this question. It's a specific question. It's a specific question, but I don't want to answer it not to offend any of our network customers. They are probably carrying out some investments, but it's a question to be, they should be addressed, this question. They should be addressees of this question. Okay, we'll try and find some information, but as the CEO, Mr. Mańko, has mentioned, we would not like to mention anyone, and the information about the growth of those customers is publicly available because they boast about their expansion. So probably you can get some source materials, source information from them. And I think this is it that we have received so far from you in terms of questions. So yes, we have exhausted the list of questions. So thank you very much for participating in our conference. I hope that this form mentioned by Mr. Mańko will be fine with you, this format. Thank you very much for your attendance, and feel invited to join us during the next meeting where we discuss consecutive, I hope equally good, results for Q2 of this year. And I thank you very much. Let me just add one more thing. The heads of segments will be present when we present the annual budget. So we are certain there'll be more questions then, and the presentations will be more detailed, and heads of particular segments will be speaking to you directly. Thank you. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.